the Sports Porch.
Let's go.
Here we are. I want to first thank you for listening to us on American Busker iHeartRadio. 150 million registered users, 2,000 devices, 360 platforms. And I also want to remind you that you can find us online at any time your little heart desires, at a place called theporcheslive.com. theporcheslive.com.
theporcheslive.com.
There you go. Absolutely incredible. So listen, guys, first of all, condolences, Schwaber.
Thank you.
Your wife texted me before the show to tell us to please take it easy on you.
Well, thank you.
Yes. She had to know that we were going to embarrass you. I don't know why she would even do that, but Amy May said, you and Steve go easy on Mark tonight.
Yes.
He is really upset about the Eagles losing. Also, his back has been really hurting him.
It has.
Thank you.
It's a double whammy.
Stress has that
Thank you.
ability.
Super Bowl
Yep.
and back problems.
And of course, I couldn't help but let my wife know about this text.
Yeah.
And this was what she sent to me. I mean, come on. Listen, Amy, I got to tell you, you got to know us, okay? If this had been the Redskins Commanders, it would be relentless in this room. Relentless. But we're not going to do that.
Well, I actually thought, there was a part of me that thought for a minute, I'm just skipping the night.
Really?
Really?
It was that
But
bad?
the impression was setting.
Well, but then I said to myself, look, you are not in college anymore. You are a grown man. You are an adult. You're in your 50s. It's just a football game. Be a man.
Be a man.
And
Man
then,
up.
And then I decided to come over.
All right.
Up.
All right.
And he's here, manned up.
Well, we're glad you're here. And first, this is what I want to do, because all the buzz, of course, there's a lot of buzz about the game. Okay, so we're going to talk about the game. Yep. But what I really want to do first is talk about our picks for what was going to happen during the game.
Okay.
So let's go.
Right.
Let's go down that right now. Okay.
Coin toss.
So no, we didn't do the coin toss. So
I did have tails, by the way.
we picked the score. Okay, and Mark, you picked the Eagles to win 31-27. We know that didn't happen.
It's fairly close.
It was close.
One touchdown off.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. Chris picked the Eagles 28-24. And the winner was Steve, who picked Kansas City on a last-minute field goal to win 34-33.
That was the closest.
Yeah, that was the closest. Yeah. So
you're welcome.
Who scored the first TD of the game? That was Jalen Hurts.
It was
right?
Hurts. Yeah,
okay, so I think Steve picked Kelsey. I picked Pacheco, and Mark picked Kelsey.
Oh,
so yeah, I did too. But Mark picked Kelsey.
Didn't we pick like first Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, did we pick first?
Yeah, you picked Sanders. Okay. Hey guys, and
on air.
And
on air.
I picked Hurts. No, we didn't do that. I picked Mahomes to throw for 352 yards.
Oh, we didn't. Okay.
And he threw half of that. Yep.
Yeah. I always how you can hire it.
Mahomes. No. Steve picked 352 yards.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That sounds right.
I picked 260, and Mark picked 325. So I got.
We were all in bad shape.
Yeah, we were all
182.
Yeah. Steve picked Hurts to throw for 276.
304.
He 304. I picked 340. And you picked 222. 222.
Saw the winner there.
Hurts. You did pick Hurts to score the Eagles' first touchdown.
Yes.
And you also said he would run for 85 yards. I think he ran for 70, right? Let's see. Anything else on here? MVP of the game, Hurts, was me. Mark was Hurts. You were Mahomes. So, hey, listen, as far as predictions go, I don't think they were that bad. I mean, we were off on, they weren't that bad.
But we all thought it would be close.
But it was a pretty traditional game in that sense.
Yeah.
Superstars came to play, and they gave us a good game.
Yeah. So let's talk about what happened in the game What did Kansas City? We're gonna leave that controversial call to a little bit later because we know everybody wants to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk.
And I'm sure we have some things to say.
100%. Yep.
But what did Kansas City do that enabled them to win that game? You go ahead, Schwaber. You go ahead.
I'm Schwaber.
You go ahead, Schwaber. You go ahead. Yeah. I was thinking I don't want Schwab to talk, and I'm looking at Steve.
Okay.
So no, let Mark go.
Yeah,
He owns the platform.
Congratulations to the Chiefs. They won the game. They deserve to win. I also think the Eagles could have deserved to win. It just kind of came down to who had the ball last.
Well, this is what did Kansas City do right?
I heard the question.
Okay, thank you. I just trying to keep you up because I know you're still in mourning and that's allowed. So
what they did right was they did not turn the ball over, so they didn't make mistakes. Whereas the Eagles made 2 mistakes in my mind. The slip of the ball out of Hurts's hand. I don't really consider that like an earned TD by the Chiefs because nobody swatted the ball. It wasn't like they hit him hard or a sack fumble. He just dropped the ball.
Yeah.
So to me, it was like we handed them 7 points. And then the other, to me, I always consider like a punt return is as good as a turnover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the pathetically low line drive short kick, where Tony ran the ball back to the 5-yard line. To me, that was just like handing them another 7 points. So
yeah,
to me, that was it, is that we made a special teams mistake. We made a turnover mistake, and the Chiefs did not. The Chiefs played better error-free football.
So the Chiefs capitalized on the few mistakes that the Eagles made.
Yeah. I mean, I also think that the Chiefs had a good game plan, to avoid the pass rush of the Eagles, getting the ball out of Mahomes' hands very quickly. And I also thought that the Eagles' game plan was very poor defensively, because obviously everybody knew that's what they were going to do.
Yeah.
And the only way you can play against that team is you got to get pressure on Mahomes. So if you can't get pressure with your top 4, and if you're also not getting pressure because everybody's slipping on the turf, you got to send more people. But it's true. What I'm saying is you have to adjust to the game.
Understood.
You have to send more people. You have to spend 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And you want your cornerbacks to be in man press. We're giving them like all the room in the world out there, for these little, dinky 5-yard and 8-yard plays. And then the other part too is that, the Eagles secondary's strength is playing man defense, Slay and Bradbury, 2 of the best man covers in the league. And we're playing zone. And you saw how they got exposed on that. They're running motion and we can't figure out who's supposed to be with who because we're playing zone instead of just playing the man.
Right.
And so, that's good game planning by the Chiefs. And it's bad game planning on the defensive side of the ball for the Eagles.
All right. Steve.
So what Chiefs did right was their defense was opportunistic. They took the fumble and they took it to the end zone. They didn't just jump on it. They actually grabbed it, ran with it, and scored points. Other than that, their defense was pretty awful, actually. And they've been awful all year. So what did the offense have to do to compensate for their terrible defense? Well, first of all, their offensive line did everything right. No sacks was, to me, by far and away the best thing that they did. But their offensive scheme to be able to say, look, no matter what happens, we're never going to abandon the run. And they didn't. They never abandoned the run. Whenever Philly had 3 guys that were down and they had their edge guys kind of off the line, they ran the ball. Every time Mahomes recognized it. That guy is so smart. Like, and he was much smarter, I think, in this game than he ever has been because he recognized the defense, and instead of trying to throw through it, he just handed the ball off. I think that was really smart game planning on their part, and they didn't waver from it. And let's face it, Mahomes didn't make a mistake in the second half. Every play, every time they had the ball, they scored.
Yeah.
That's just astounding. That's just amazing. And I actually think, I know we're probably going to talk to the Eagles, what they did well, but I think that the Eagles probably did have the right plan to keep the ball away from Mahomes. But when he's playing that good, it clearly doesn't matter.
So DG chimes in here, Schwaber. He says he thinks that Rihanna's halftime show jinxed the Eagles. So he's blaming it on Rihanna.
Well, I will say this.
Rihanna.
One thing that is interesting, and look, I don't blame this on the loss at all, but it definitely benefited the Chiefs to be able to have more time for Mahomes to recover from his injury.
You know, this smacks so much. I've heard
There
Philly
is a doctor in the
excuses.
house, and I think the
all
doctor
the
will
time.
say actually
Yeah.
it gave him more time to get stiff.
Yeah.
If you have an injury like that, unless you're getting cortisone,
Anything,
clearly he
anything.
was.
Or was he being a drama queen and he really wasn't that injured? Because I didn't see any ill effects on his fourth quarter.
Actually,
Yeah, that was
Well,
kind of
don't worry.
strange.
He probably couldn't feel his ankle flexing,
Yeah.
you know, because there was so much cortisone
Yeah,
in there.
it had to be
numbing
that.
his leg. I just can't imagine the damage that has occurred over the stuff that he
Who
had to
knows?
do, you know?
You got to
Who
hope
knows?
it's severe.
You got
Well, I mean, you don't have to worry about playing him until the
maybe
Super Bowl,
forever.
Right.
you
But
know?
But
we
no,
have,
but
we
I
have
will-
to beat him.
But here's the thing:
Yes.
you do got to give Mahomes credit because I had actually looked back on both the Mahomes Super Bowls, the victory and the loss. He actually played very poorly in both Super Bowls. You know, in the first one that he won, he had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and in the second Super Bowl, he had no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So he definitely learned that you can't make mistakes in the Super Bowl, and
Right.
I think that really was a focus.
And that's why he threw for less than 200 yards.
Right.
Because he recognized like he didn't have to do it all. In fact, in the interview they had before the game, that's exactly what he said. He's learned that he doesn't have to play Superman.
Well, and he plays Superman without even doing it. So as far as what Kansas City did right, for me, I think it comes down to the game plan on offense. I think that they took advantage of the fact that the Eagles' defense is uber aggressive. They knew that was coming, and like you said, Steve, you know, Mahomes wasn't afraid to look at the defense, read it, and say, this is a running play, and they would find the weak part of the line. They also did a fantastic job. I mean, those Eagles defenders, they are so quick off the ball, and they get so far upfield and it's not like they're not aware of that, though. See, I don't think their defensive plan, now the man-to-man part of that, I agree with Schwaber. I think that was a mistake. And I think they might have been game planning to that explosive speed that they used to have. Now how they would make that mistake, I have no idea. But I think that the Eagles were so amped up for this game and wanting to get to Mahomes that they couldn't get out of their own way when they were rushing the passer. And they did end up getting caught, you know, because they really didn't ever get close to getting a sack. I think there might have been 3 plays where I thought, oh, he could go down.
Yeah, he had to jump up in the pocket a couple.
Right. And that one time he jumped up in the pocket and ran for 20 yards or something like that. So, you know,
But here's the other thing too, like, because I don't want to say anything good about Jonathan Gannon, who's the Eagles defensive coordinator. I thought he was horrible last night because the bottom line is he never made an adjustment.
Yeah.
Never made an adjustment. But here's the other way of looking at it. Okay. You can also look at it like this. You know, they got 7 points free from the Eagles on a turnover, and they got 7 points from a punt return to the 5-yard line. So really, he held them to 24 points, and they should have won.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Potentially.
So, I mean, you know what I
you
mean?
can look at it that way, but that's not what happened.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So
Right.
So
The other thing I think
that's what the
that I think
defense gave up.
Kansas City did better was they had better shoes.
Maybe they did.
Well, yeah, they showed all the Eagles shoes when they switched them on the sideline. But, all right, guys. So
Maybe they shouldn't have switched.
what did the
Switch back.
Right.
what did the Eagles do right? I mean, they lost, but what did they do right?
Well, the first thing they did right was, and I'm biased. I understand.
Don't worry, we'll tell you if you're right.
I understand you can't give the MVP to the losing quarterback, but honestly,
All day long.
But honestly,
All day long.
No. It's been a pretty national thing. A lot of national folks have said that you could have given Jalen Hurts the MVP because he was the best player in that game.
Wrong.
And I think he really was. I mean, he had a ball slip out of his hand. Outside of that, he completely outplayed Mahomes, and he was unstoppable. I mean, his passes were, brilliant. I mean, the pass to AJ Brown was perfect. I mean, the passes to Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert on the sidelines,
Those were
on third and long.
Yeah, that catch by Goddard was incredible.
Were amazing. I mean, he was unstoppable. I mean, he played like a superstar, and I feel the worst for him because I think he deserved to win the game. He deserved to be, and obviously, if they did win the game, it would have been the MVP.
This is true. Yeah.
So I think he was sensational. I thought basically, I mean, look, here's the bottom line. They didn't run the ball particularly well by the running backs, but bottom line is they scored 35 points. That's the most points ever by a Super Bowl loser. Okay. And in games in the NFC, AFC championship game and Super Bowl, up until this point, teams that scored 35 points or more in those games were 39-0. So we can't come down on the offense for not playing well. They kicked the shit out of the Chiefs in that game. Unfortunately, the Chiefs kicked the shit out of the Eagles on their offensive side of the ball, and they got one more kick, to go through and no mistakes. So the offense was great. And, the defense was horrible. I don't think we did anything good on defense.
All right.
That's it.
So I think,
and there you have it.
Yeah.
I think we're going with what the Eagles did right.
Yes. It's hard to do when you lose, but
I don't think they did very many things right, to be honest with you. And here's why I say that. Because I think I would rather go with what I think they did wrong.
All right.
I think their offensive scheming was wrong. They throughout the whole season, the Eagles were a strike hard, strike fast, strike repetitively team, right? I think they should have stuck with that. I think they could have scored 42 or 48 points against this Kansas City offense.
Should have kept passing it, you think?
I think they should have. I think they should have did that early and often and put Mahomes on his heels. Make him come back to make him be a one-dimensional guy where he always has to pass. And to me, that would have made it a lot easier to chase him and rush him. And I get why they did what they did, but I think they went against who they were in their DNA. And you could see when they needed to come back, they could do it. They threw it deep to Brown. And by the way, I think it was more of a great adjustment by Brown than it was a good pass. But the pass was in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing adjustment by Brown. Devonta Smith got open deep quite a bit, and Goddard was incredible.
Yeah.
So I just would have rolled with that a little bit more. I personally think they should have come out and just smashed him in the face early. Then they could have run the ball because then the Kansas City defense would be like, we got to make a stop. We got to make a stop. We can't let them get the first downs. And I think that's where they messed up. Yeah. That being said, they did execute their game really well. They did hold the ball quite a bit.
Yes.
Even though they didn't run the ball for shit.
Yes.
So what they tried to do worked. I just think it was the wrong way to go about it. I think they should have stuck with their guns. I think they should have.
I think that's good. I think that's good analysis.
I think they should have just went for the juggernaut and just said, we know 35 is not going to be enough. We got to go 42 or 48 or maybe 50 points to beat this guy. And the more points we can score early, the easier it'll be to get to him to keep that lead.
Yeah, and
they were great at that during the regular season.
Yeah,
I get why they went away from it because Mahomes is who he is. But you can't. I don't think you can adjust your game to a superstar. The superstar is always going to perform. You have to make that person one-dimensional, and then that's the only way to beat them.
Yeah, well, and that's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, I agree with you in principle because one of the messages I sent you during the game was, I haven't seen very much of Sanders or Boston.
Nobody.
But that was because they didn't have a lead and they couldn't hand the ball to those guys as the Chiefs defense got tired and just rattle off those 12-yard runs.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely correct. they're a quick strike team, and it looked like their receivers had the number, the corners.
Almost every
They
time
have
they
rookie
run together.
corners. Yeah. So
Daughter was open.
should they have been? I guess the point is, as aggressive as they seem to be playing, they should have been more aggressive.
Like, I think
it's really hard to know.
The thing that's like, to be honest, so hard with this loss is if we've pointed out a million things that the Eagles have done wrong, haven't we? And really nothing that the Chiefs have done wrong. And yet they lost by a freaking field goal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
That's
And we didn't
the
even
problem.
get to the controversial call yet.
Yeah,
I've got some things to say.
Let's talk about that. You want to start us off with that one?
Well, I'll start us off by saying that that was the point in the game where I was disappointed in that call because I thought that it came at the wrong time of the game. And I'm stating the obvious.
Yeah.
Because it obviously, with 2 minutes left or a minute 30 left, you make that kind of call, you extend a drive. Now they can run out the clock. It was very disappointing to me that they waited that long in a game to start calling that. Yeah. However, I am completely 50-50 on whether it was a good call or not, because you had the what was his name on Fox,
Greg Olsen.
Not Greg Olsen, the official that they have. Not Gene Steratore. He's actually from the Pittsburgh area. Yeah, he's the CBS guy. But whoever their guy is,
Pereira,
right? He kind of came on and said, it was a good call.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the video of it and I'm thinking, I don't see where that was really a good call. I mean, like, if you saw Juju stop,
yeah,
or
agree,
or then it's kind of like, all right, even if he didn't really touch him or grab him, but he impeded him.
Yeah.
But I didn't see that.
Right.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Steve?
So there are two things that my thought. One was, I agree. This referee crew just swallowed the whistle pretty much the whole game. And to make a call there on the third down, like, first of all, he was in the 5-yard zone, so he was allowed to be chucked.
True.
Where he was chucked. Did he get a hand on him? Yeah, probably. So I think it probably was holding. But the fact, one, that they swallowed the whistles. Two, the timing of that, and three, the way that ball was thrown, way over his head. It wasn't even close to where he was.
Not a catchable pass.
And to me, it was like, even if he didn't even touch him, I don't think Juju catches that ball. And then lastly, and this is what pisses me off the most, they kicked the field goal. Now you get to see if Jalen Hurts can do it, right? This is the way the game was going, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So Mahomes takes the lead. Now Jalen Hurts has a chance to come and be the hero. I would love to see him get that chance. And they robbed us from that 1 minute, 30 seconds of what could have just been great football.
Yeah.
And who knows? Probably what would have happened was the kicker would have slipped, missing the field goal. and then there would be a different controversy.
Right.
But they robbed us of that. And that's what pisses me off the most.
Yeah, that's what I was disappointed in, is that once you did the math after that call, the game was over.
It was over.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the fact that McKinnon fell down on the 1.5 yard line was just brilliant coaching. The fact that kid knew to do that
instead of scoring a touchdown.
And the Eagles knew, hey, let him score.
Yeah.
Like, let's make it look like we're just pushing him to the outside, but let him get in the end zone. Yeah. And he's like, you're like, oh, he's going to score a touchdown. And you're like, no, don't. And you can, as you're thinking that, he stopped. Like, literally, his foot touched the goal line. That's how close he was. And he took a knee. Brilliant coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they told him that, or if he just had it in his head, but that was a big.
It's because Andy Reid is one of the greatest coaches of his era.
Right.
That's always for Schwab's benefit.
So
call, Robert.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you guys said it completely. I mean, here's the bottom line: if you want to go by the letter of the law, it's a holding. Okay. However, every game, the officials decide what's a holding call and what's not. And the same play was for 58 minutes, not a holding call.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you throw one that basically completely determines the outcome of the game. And so I think not only Eagles fans, but I just think fans of football in general.
Agreed.
They wanted to see, could Jalen Hurts bring this team back or get him to overtime, or maybe he fails in that spot. You know, who knows?
Maybe he does.
But that's what everybody wanted to see, and it was basically the officials thinking that they were more important than the game.
Yeah,
and I think that was terrible.
I love that. I don't know if that's what they were thinking, but I will say that the more I think about it, the more disappointed I get.
Yeah.
Because as a fan, I would rather them call a tight game up front and let people play down the line as opposed to what happened in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think here's the thing. I mean, the bottom line is that I've got zero problem with that call if that same call is made in the first, second, and third quarter.
So let's get a couple comments in. DG is in the house as always. Thank you, DG, for being here. Juju was held slightly, but I agree with no slight hold. Juju wasn't going to be able to make that catch. The flag was a little late. Mike Lawrence is watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much. Somewhere in line today, the Philly defender admitted he held Juju. Schwab's got some feelings on that. Go ahead, Schwaber.
Well, this, Bradbury's statement that, he held him. Well, first of all, he did. Okay. But it's just usually not called. Okay.
Yeah.
But this was just more about class. This was, one of the things.
Go figure. An Eagles player. Has
this is 100% true.
Yeah. I do agree with you.
All week, the 49ers have been, bitching and complaining about, how they would have beat the Eagles if Brock Purdy was healthy through the whole game.
Right.
We don't know
They're
that.
going to be exposed and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball.
Yeah.
And, Sirianni just said to his guys, like, hey, look, let's just give the Chiefs credit. Let's not blame it on the officials. Do the right thing. Because the bottom line is it's not going to change. So he was classy.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. So, tomorrow, we're all going to forget about it. We're not going to just say like, oh, those Eagles are sore losers. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, look, he's a free agent. So, he wants to get paid and he doesn't want to look like an ass.
Right. I agree.
So,
I agree.
It's a classy move.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's the consensus here? Did the officiating blow that game? Now, wait a minute.
No.
Before I get your answers from that, we still don't know for sure what would have happened. But Butker did miss a field goal earlier in the game, and it was a bad miss. And then he did.
He doinked it.
Well,
It wasn't
right.
a bad miss.
Well, any miss is a bad miss.
42, you got to hit, right?
No, that's a kick he's got to make.
Right.
I mean, it's not like he totally shanked it.
Right. Well, he missed the field goal, and there was an extra point, I think, that was
Close.
pretty darn
The
close.
last one that went in.
Yeah. So
I wasn't even watching, and I heard the announcer goes, and the point after,
it's in. Yeah, I was watching it. I was like, I don't know if that made it or not. So, I think that you can't. It wasn't a guarantee that Butker was going to make that, but there aren't a whole lot of Scott Norwoods out there. So,
man, you just lost all the Bills fans.
I never wanted the Bills fans on my side. I don't really care, Pat, if you're still watching. So, okay. So you guys say the officiating didn't really blow it.
No, they robbed us of some really good football at the end. In the biggest game of the year, potentially even overtime. But other than that, no, they didn't. They didn't.
The two reasons for the loss were Eagles' self-inflicted wounds and the inability of the Eagles to make one stop in the second half on defense.
One stop.
Yeah.
That's it. All they had to do was make one stop and they would have won the game.
Well said.
And they didn't.
Okay. So is this the beginning of a Chiefs Mahomes dynasty? They were talking about that on sports radio.
Yeah, I was listening to that too. And I'm a big believer. I think you have to have three to be called a dynasty.
Yeah.
I agree. A lot of teams a few teams have won two. Like Denver, they won those two.
But that's not a dynasty.
But I don't consider them a dynasty.
That means you're a really good team for 2 years.
And
Yeah,
I mean, they're dominant in the AFC, and the AFC is stacked now. So they're going to have a lot of competition. I mean, Josh Allen wants it. Herbert still wants to get there.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
so
you got the Bengals too.
There's who?
The Bengals. Barrow.
The Bengals? They're never going to go back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm going to keep that one too.
100%.
I'm telling you, man. 100%, he says. Never. 100%. We got to put that in granite somewhere on a monument.
It's out there for the whole world.
So the year 3872.
Every time
Steve said never.
Every time I say 100%, it never happens.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, I think they've been to 5 straight championship games. They've been to 3 Super Bowls and won 2. It's not a dynasty yet. If they win next year, if they win the Super Bowl, for me, I'm thinking dynasty for me is like you rattle off 4 Super Bowls. You got the Steelers, you got the Niners. Somebody brought up the Cowboys. I never saw that as a dynasty.
I have to give a Steelers perspective here.
Yeah.
Because we are in Pittsburgh.
Right.
As you can see, the bridge.
Oh yeah, that's Mark's on the bridge.
Yeah, right on the bridge.
Like we're trying to keep Mark off the bridge.
Yeah, Mark's. Get off the bridge, Mark. Get off the bridge, Mark.
I might jump.
No, the Steelers' perspective is Ben Roethlisberger has been in 3 Super Bowls. He has won 2 and has lost 1.
Same as Mahomes.
Now, if Mahomes never goes back to the Super Bowl, he's just no better than Ben Roethlisberger.
There was never a dynasty. Right.
So, I mean, I agree. Like when you talk about dynasties, it's always about 3. And if you want to talk about being the GOAT, the best quarterback of all time, like right now the bar is set by Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But to be in the conversation, to me, you have to get at least 4 and surpass our buddy, Terry Bradshaw. And let's not forget about Joe Montana.
So, and also don't forget about a guy who was in 4 straight and lost them, and that was Jim Kelly. I mean, he had to get that. I'm not saying it was a dynasty, but what I'm saying is, it's always better to win the Super Bowl. But how many teams have gone to 4 straight?
I mean, it's an accomplishment.
Right.
It's just not one that people.
I mean, I'm backing up your dynasty. I'm backing up your dynasty argument. Yeah.
I know you are. Yeah. So that's my point. Like, I think the Chiefs definitely have every possibility of being the next dynasty, the next New England Patriots for sure. But I don't know how long Reid's going to be coaching. I know Mahomes is going to be there for a while. And now I know that Andy Reid has the ability to kind of change his colors. So that makes them dangerous. And it definitely makes them much better than the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Mike chimes in and he says, I hope Mahomes wins 6 more to shut Brady up. Yeah, well,
I'm with you, Mike.
Yeah.
I'll sing that with you any day you want, Mike.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we've talked about the Super Bowl, and no doubt that call is going to be talked about for the next 10 weeks or however until next season, and Mahomes and all that kind of stuff. So
let's get the draft.
Free agents come along.
Yeah, and that's coming up. So what we want to do right now is we want to go back in time. Because in the beginning of the football season, we made our predictions, and I've got the list right here.
It's bad.
And we want to talk about the predictions. There's a couple that are actually pretty funny here. We're not going to do them all. We'll
do the big guys.
We'll do the big ones. I just do want to say that your experts here on the Sports Porch did pick the Packers, the Green Bay Packers, to win the NFC North. All 3 of us.
Oops.
Yep. We were wrong.
So we
were
nailed
on
it.
That Rodgers train.
Nailed it. We also picked the Bucs to win the NFC South, which they did with a losing record.
I don't think any of us said they were going to win with a losing record.
I think we still don't get credit for that.
Yeah, we should. And in the NFC East, Mark and I picked the Eagles. You picked the Cowboys. We had another miserable failure with the NFC West.
Yes.
We all picked the Rams.
Yikes.
So if you guys are using this show at all for your betting lines, I would recommend that you just watch us for the humor. And screw the wild card stuff. This is one that I really love for the AFC North, which we're going to go over because obviously the Steelers are in the AFC North. Mark and I picked the Bengals, and Steve, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why this is. Sorry about that.
Sorry, I didn't know we had women on.
Yeah.
Are we diversified?
I don't want to know what this college project.
Now this is what we got. This is what we got from Steve.
All right, who are you picking, Schwaber?
Bengals.
No, it's definitely Baltimore, 100%.
Okay, Bengals.
Never
All
gonna
right.
happen, boys.
Oh,
Never going to happen, boys.
Never gonna happen, boys.
So we saw that.
Save that for next year. I'll just replay it.
Yeah, we nailed it in the East, the AFC East. We all picked the Bills, and Schwaber and I nailed it in the AFC West. We picked the Chiefs. Steve picked the Chargers. Where do we go next? So I had the Packers and the Rams in the NFC title game. So once again, if you're following us for the betting lines, you don't want to listen to me because I am rarely right.
So that would have been 8-9 against 4-13.
Yeah. You know what? Just like our fantasy game, they should do a worst record in the.
Right.
Yeah, all right, listen. Here's a great idea. Instead of the Pro Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Take the 2 worst records in the league. They play a real football game, and whoever wins gets the number 1 pick. How about that?
It's interesting.
It doesn't count in
The loser bowl.
It's actually not a bad idea.
It doesn't.
But it would never happen.
It doesn't count in the. It doesn't count in the record book. So if the guy throws for 500 yards, it doesn't matter. But each player gets a bonus big enough to make it worth playing the game.
Yeah, but then you're going to say you're going to, benefit guys who played worse than everybody else in the league.
I like that thought. Let's get it out there to the NFL. Get Goodell on the. You got Goodell's number?
I don't.
Darn it, neither.
And I don't want it.
If anybody has Goodell's number, you know what? Just send them to the Sports Porch. We'd like to have a conversation about making that happen.
Yeah, I'm just telling you. I think they should do that. Okay, so I had the Packers and the Rams. Horrible. Steve had the Bucks and the Cowboys.
Horrible.
At least they made the playoffs. Right.
That's true.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Schwaber had the Bucks and the Indianapolis Colts in the playoff game or in the Super Bowl. And Steve had the Bills. I had the Bills winning the Super Bowl. But I want you guys to pay attention here to this. This was Mark's prediction for the Super Bowl.
I have the Rams and the Bills. Your winner is.
Well, we do know one thing about Tom Brady. He not only wins Super Bowls, he loses them. Matt Ryan, he has his day. The Colts win.
I knew Matt Stafford. I think you jinxed the Eagles.
And Schwaber took the Colts to win the Super Bowl.
And also won the regular season predictions.
Yeah, you did.
You did. You were good in the regular season. It's just the preseason.
I'm a regular.
You should stay away. Stay off the juice.
Yeah.
Stay off the juice.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, listen. It was a great year. I want to do one more quick thing on this. Mark and I were talking about this before the show, before you got here to the studio, and Mark actually pointed this out because I said, and I don't want to offend anybody who thought that was a great game. And DG says Mark's prediction was bold at the time. And it was a bold prediction.
It was a bold prediction.
We'll give you that.
Fine line between bold and foolish.
Is it me or does it seem like the game is starting to get a little more boring now?
The game of football?
Yeah, the actual games. Like I said to Mark, I said, you know what?
No.
I thought this game was boring. And he's like a 30, what was it, 38 to 35 and back and forth and all that. I was like, I just felt bored.
I think there were parts of it where the Eagles, I'm not a big fan of the 17 drive thing. Like I know that's
play drive.
Yeah. I don't like the 17 play drive. I mean, to me, it's just terrible. I don't like it at all. And that's the new Steeler football way, right?
Yeah.
It's like hold on to the ball, make your defense,
keep them
refresh. You can see it didn't refresh the Eagles' defense any.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think like teams get into a rhythm. So like you have to stay in a rhythm. And if you're off the field for too long, it messes you up.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of just sticking with what you know, whatever that is. And to make the game more interesting, clearly big strikes are are fun.
Right.
But then again, so are big defensive plays.
That's
like
right.
that hit on Pacheco. That was incredible. What a hit that was, you know?
Yeah.
So stuff like that. Like, I think that's what makes the game exciting. And they definitely are trying to take some of that out of the game, you know, with the helmet hit.
Yep.
So they have to be very careful for going too far. I agree with you. I think it's trending in that direction. I can't wait to see it come back because, it can't get boring because people, I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yep.
People love it. Like, what is it? Like 38 of the 50 highest watched things on television this year have been football games.
Right.
Like, it's clearly a commodity that people like.
Right.
But they can't mess with it too much more, or they're gonna
lose it. Yeah.
Fair weather fans, we're gonna watch it all the time because we grew up with it. We love it.
Right.
Yeah.
We have, you know, people who love to watch it. We're gonna watch it, but they're gonna lose the fair weather fans. Like my wife went to bed at halftime.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
my wife didn't even watch it. She asked me who won. Yeah. Yeah. No, she was never a football watcher anyway.
Yeah, neither. Yeah. My wife is fair weather.
Yeah.
You know, if the Steelers were on, she would have stayed up and watched.
Yeah. Last football thing, and then we're going to move on to Hockey Jesus. How far away are the Steelers from even approaching the level of one of these teams? I say very far away.
Well, their defense is in some cases above some of these teams.
Above the Chiefs? Above the Eagles? I don't think
well, remember, in the regular season.
Yeah, I think they might be better than both of those defenses, honestly.
Well, but in the regular season, those defenses were like top 5. So, you know, you're talking about like probably the 2 best players at quarterback in the league this year.
But I mean, if you're talking about the team as a whole, their offense is way far behind. I mean, they're not even in the conversation with the Trevor Lawrences, let alone the Mahomes and the Josh Allens and the Jalen Hurts. I mean, they're way behind.
Yep.
I mean, we didn't even talk about this, and this will probably be for another day. The fact that, you know, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and AB Jr., Juju Smith-Schuster, all have Super Bowl rings now. All three have Super Bowl rings now.
Yep.
And they were once great commodities for the Steelers, but now we jettisoned them off because they were headaches and we couldn't manage them, and now they got Super Bowl rings. So I think that's something to consider. Like, the Steelers need to get their shit together as a management structure and as leaders. And the head coach needs to do something about that.
Well, they need.
I think they have the right talent, maybe, but they got to get better. And one thing's clear: the 2 offensive lines that played are like if you took people that were on their bench, they would be better than the Steelers.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's where they got to focus. They got to get better in the trench.
And this will be a developing story. So I want to give a shout out to Pitt basketball. Pitt basketball, number 1 in the ACC.
But not in the top 25.
Yeah, which is surprising.
And a team that's 5th in the division is in the top 25.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. But
just got to make the tournament.
Since we're now we've got hockey left to go, we're kind of approaching what we like to call the dead zone.
Yeah.
You know, spring training is going to heat up here. Maybe we'll get a little March Madness fun if Pitt can make the tourney. And we'll see. But I think it's an amazing story that they're able to cobble these teams together. And they got a guy on there. I love this guy's name, Federico.
The double F.
You got it. So, all right, Hockey Jesus, take it away. What's going on? What's going on with the Pens? We're going to get
What is going on?
Yeah.
It is still hockey season. That is true. The Penguins are on the West Coast. After the All-Star break, they beat Colorado.
Yeah.
In a surprising win, actually. I didn't see that coming. But on a nice overtime goal by Letang. So they got to the West Coast. They kill and absolutely slaughter the Ducks. And then they get killed and absolutely got slaughtered by the LA Kings.
Right.
So this is the problem with the Penguins now. Without Jari playing, and by the way, he was a full participant at practice today, so he may actually be playing tomorrow night in San Jose. They got one more game on the West Coast. I actually think that they will. I think they actually will get either a loser point or beat San Jose, and then they have to come back to the East Coast. And before they come home, what they have to do is they have to beat the Islanders. So they got some really big games coming up after San Jose. They play the Islanders, a game we'll be watching in Florida on Friday. And then they play the Devils on Saturday, a game we'll be watching in Florida on Saturday. And then they come home, and then they play the Islanders again on Monday. So those are the 3 games that are coming up this week that if you don't want to stay up and watch San Jose and be up till 1:30 in the morning, which I actually happen to do for that LA Kings game, then I would say wait till they make it back to the East Coast and watch those games against the Devils and Islanders. Those are really important games for the Penguins. They got to get at least 3 points out of that. I'd like to see them get 4 or 5. If they get 4 or 5, they may not have to make a move. We got the trade deadline coming up. Check out my midseason spectacular for what I think the Penguins should do at the trade deadline coming up. I still feel that way, although I'm trending away from getting a goalie now if Jari is healthy. But once again, I think there's a guy out there in Minnesota that the Penguins could use as a backup goalie. I won't mention his name.
So you can catch the Hockey Jesus preaching on the podcast live after every single Penguins game. I was getting those shows at 1:30 in the morning. Now, I wasn't posting them until the next morning because I was fast asleep. But you can catch the Hockey Jesus preaching on the podcast on the iHeartRadio app or anywhere you get your podcasts after every Penguins game. And go to theporcheslive.com, theporcheslive.com.
theporcheslive.com.
And one of the featured episodes there is the mid-season spectacular, which Steve put out about a week ago, talking about who he thinks they should trade for and how the month of February anyway is going to shape
And right
up.
now they're trending above what I predict.
Yeah, which is good. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, I want to thank you guys. If you're listening on American Busker iHeartRadio, 150 million registered users, 2,000 devices, 260 platforms, and remind you, subscribe to the Sports Porch podcast on the iHeartRadio app and anywhere you get your podcasts. And with that, boys, I think, one more housekeeping thing. We're going to be in Key West, Florida next week.
We're
off
vacation.
So
Football's over.
I can't guarantee this because we might get the itch. But we're probably going to take the week off. But we might, you never know. There might be some shenanigans.
You never know with this.
Some shenanigans going on.
There might be.
Yeah.
You might just pop up. You might want to pop in and see us tanning on the beach.
Yep, you got it. So one more. I hope you're remembering to pamper Lauren, Amy, and Susan tomorrow, or you'll end up in the doghouse. What's tomorrow?
What's tomorrow? David, what's tomorrow? Help us out here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What the hell is going on tomorrow?
I have to tell you. I mean, DG's paying attention.
He does pay attention.
Yeah,
That's right.
David, what's going on tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Happy Valentine's Day, guys.
Oh, shit.
We'll catch you next time.
Oh,
That's it from the porch. The porch is out.